This one's going to be a lot like the last two on screwdrivers and screws. If you haven't seen those videos, there's a link in the description. You can go watch those first if you'd like. Before I get into this, though, I want to address a couple of points about those. A lot of people took them as tutorials on both screwdrivers and screws. In the screwdriver one in particular, a lot of people got downright offensive with it when I said that the name of the flathead screwdriver is not flathead, it's standard, which is true, by the way, and I'll prove it in a minute. But the other thing about the videos was that I got a lot of complaints about the jump cuts. So I'm going to work on that in this video and see if I can come up with, something that's even more jarring, even more disturbing to these viewers. The thing is, people complain about everything and you're not going to satisfy everyone. So I'm not even going to bother to try with these. When I did the first two, I just had the camera out here for something else and I decided to do those without actually, planning it or anything like that. Well, the second one was a bit more planned and a bit more polished too. It still had a lot of jump cuts though. Another thing I got complaints about in the other two videos was not enough close-up, so I'm going to try to, make up for that in this one. Here's close-up of the end of the board. I don't know if it's in focus, but it's not really important because all it needs to be is close. This is called a rabbet here in North America, and in places like the UK and I think in Australia as well, they call it a rebate. And I'm not saying that that's the incorrect term for it over there. You can call it whatever you want to, that's fine, but the definition of what we have here is a rabbet. So if we look up the definition of rabbet in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, we'll see that it's a channel, groove, or recess cut out of the edge or face of a surface, especially one intended to receive another member, such as a panel. Now, the origin for that word came from the Middle English rabbet, which is perhaps from the Middle French rabat, and that means the act of forcing down from the Old French, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that word, but it means to force down, fold over, reduce, and then it says more at rebate. So when we look at the definition of rebate, it says to reduce the force or activity of, diminish, to reduce the sharpness of, blunt, to make a rebate of, to give a rebate to. Now those are the verbs. But now if we look at the definition of the word as a noun, we see an amount of money that is paid back to you because you have paid too much. An amount of money that a business or a company pays back to you because you have bought a particular product or service. And then the origin for the word rebate is similar to rabbit, but it's more specific, as you can see there. But if you go by the spelling alone, you'll see the similarity between the modern North American one and the original French word. And also the definition makes more sense, in particular because rabbet is a specific word. It only has one meaning in the English language, and that's that particular joint in a piece of wood. Rebate, as you can see, means other things, not even anywhere close to the definition of what rabbet is. Now, the reason why I bring up the rabbet thing here is because whenever I mention rabbet in a video, there'll be someone, usually from the UK, and I'm not putting down people from the UK by any means, but they adopt an attitude like you're butchering language, when in fact the more accurate usage of the word is actually the rabbet version, which closely matches the original. So while I'm here, I might as well tell you what exactly a rabbet is. It's this right here. It's not a dado. A dado is a different thing. This is a rabbet. It's a recess cut in the edge of a piece of wood. It can be on the end, it can be on the side like that, but it's 90 degrees like this, and it's on the edge. That's what makes it a rabbet. So like I said in the beginning, I'm not trying to, correct people on this. I just don't want to be corrected myself whenever I mention it in a video. A lot of people say these things without giving it a second thought. They automatically assume because they are in the country where the language originated, or kind of originated anyway, and we're not, then they're correct, and we're not. And that's not always the case. That's the other thing that's kind of annoying about this, is the ownership thing. They act like they were actively involved in forming language way back when it was. Somehow, the fact that they live in a place means that they're more related to what actually happened. It's like, okay, your neighbor, becomes famous, and then you kind of feel good about yourself because you're living right beside him. But then your other neighbor is known to be, a serial killer, and all of a sudden you feel shameful because you're living close to him. And what your neighbor does, or what your ancestors did, really doesn't have anything to do with you today. It doesn't bear whatsoever on what you've done personally, your accomplishments. So you really shouldn't be taking credit for it. So anyway, that'll do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any ideas for any more of these, leave them in the comments. One thing I want to say about the comments, though, is please keep it civilized. So anyway, getting back to the screws thing, I've got my Encyclopedia Britannica here. I've looked up the definition or the article on screwdrivers. You can pause this if you like and read the whole thing, but the important thing is to look right there, standard screwdrivers with flat blade tips. So on a whim, I just went down my basement and I pulled this out thinking that, this could be called a reliable source right here. I bought these back in 1990, I think. When I was much younger and much dumber, I guess, because I paid a lot of money for these. These are leather-bound, really primo quality books here that I've hardly ever looked through. But they are good for, this kind of reference right here because they are reliable information. They're not like the internet. The internet can have and does have a lot of very accurate information, but it also has a lot of very inaccurate information as well. Now, if we go back one page, you'll see the definition of screw. Okay, so I'll let the camera focus in on the types here, and then below you got the caption. You can see all of these. You can pause that and read it if you'd like. But the important one is this guy right here. And we look down here at E, and we see flathead wood screw. Flathead wood screw. Flathead wood screw.